Threesia here. I thought I'd keep a promise that I made to you all by actually giving you a recipe. Please note that I'm not a professional soap maker. This is my hobby. I didn't get this recipe from anyone else, though it may be similar to others. This is just one that I plugged into soapcalc.net, I think it is, .com, soapcalc. And it's one I've used. You've seen me use it in, oh, I can't remember their names. It's the last two soaps I made. There were little cupcakes, and then there was a black raspberry and vanilla. I've used it in those. I've also used it in some other ones. So, but those are definitely it. It's got somewhat of a creamy lather until you add like fresh water, and then it bubbles. This recipe, it's easy to work with. It hasn't caused me any issues. It can unmold faster than 24 hours, but I suggest you leave it at least 24 hours, maybe longer. Let's get started. For this recipe, you need 4 oils or butters, castor, coconut oil, olive oil, and shea butter. You also need water or a liquid that you want to work with. I use water. You also need lye, of course. You can't make soap without lye. Even melt and pour soap is made with lye. The lye does not remain in the soap. After it actually becomes soap, there's no more lye. You will also need powdered sugar. You will also need sea salt. Let me show you. This is the sea salt I use. I think this came from either Walmart or the Dollar Tree. It's just fine sea salt. It works fine. You will need, if you want to follow my recipe straight through, you will also need Kaolin Clay. You can leave that out. That's just a preference. So, alright. And sodium lactate. You will need sodium lactate. This adds hardness to the bar. You can use it if you want. It helps unmold from silicone molds. You can use it if you want. You can ditch it if you don't. It's a preference. The only thing you have to have is castor oil, coconut oil, olive oil, shea butter, and water. Lye, of course. So all the rest is optional, but if you want to follow the recipe the way I use it, that's what you need to have. So first I'm going to add in my coconut oil to my little pan here so I can get it melting. These are plastic gloves I get at the Dollar Tree. I wear these while I mess with lye because they go straight in the trash. They're cheap, but I have them on literally minutes, and then they go straight in the trash. I also try to do it with this because I don't like to get the coconut oil under my nails. My scale went off. Okay, for this one you will need, this is 76 degree coconut oil, and it is from Bulk Apothecary. You can get it at Walmart. It comes like this. This is what I started with when I started soaping. It's perfectly fine for soaping. I think that's like $6. So for this one you will need 3 ounces of coconut oil. I like to just get it out with the knife because coconut oil, when it's solid, is hard. So I just scoop it out with a knife. So that is 3 ounces of that. It's kind of teetering on the edge, so bloop, add a little bit more. It's kind of flipping back and forth between 2, 9, and 3, so add a little bit more. It won't do anything, but add a little extra super fat. And this recipe is super fatted at 7%. I like 7% so it's not so drying. Coconut oil can be very, very drying if you use too much of it in your recipe. Alright, so now I'm going to stick this on my double boiler, which is beside me. I'm not going to show you it because I have to move the camera, and that's no fun. Some people say you can melt your coconut oil in the microwave. I don't like to melt things in the microwave. Yeah, I just don't like to. It's a personal preference. I prefer the double boiler. You need 2 ounces of shea butter. I'm not going to go into all the properties of what these oils do. You can Google that if you really want to know. I love shea butter. It's in every single soap that I make. I have never made a soap that did not have shea butter in it. Ever. Because I love shea butter. I also use my knife on this shea butter. It's just easier than digging around with a spoon, to be honest with you. Oh, got a little too much there, guys. So just kind of chunk it up. That's 2.1. That's fine with me. I'm not going to argue with this scale over 0.1. Now, the knife is done. It goes right into the dirty bucket. I don't need these gloves anymore. So they're going into the trash. This is going to sit on the side until the coconut oil is fully melted, because I don't like to add a lot of heat. I don't want my shea butter to heat a long time. It gets gritty. For this portion, I'm doing, sorry about the 10 ounces of olive oil. This is extra virgin olive oil picked up from Walmart. Nothing special. You can use all sorts of olive oil. I use this one because it's local, it's available, it's not crazy expensive. I'm on 10. Oh boy, it's 9.9. Now I got 10.1. Alright, so in this little container goes in, and I'll explain why, goes in 1 ounce of castor oil. This castor oil is like $17 for 7 pounds, or about a gallon, from Soaper's Choice. You just want 1 ounce. And I actually have 1.1, which is fine. Those 0.1s will, I always figure that they kind of will adjust out, because when you scrape and mix, and not everything ends up in there. So, to that, you want to switch to grams on your scale. And I add 15 grams of sodium lactate. You can also add 1 teaspoon per pound. I add 15 grams. You can add 1 teaspoon per pound of oils. And just so you know, this recipe will be printed out in the description box below. Alright, and also to this little mixture, I am going to add 1 tablespoon of Kaolin Clay. You add 1 tablespoon per pound of oil, and that will get you started. And I just used this little pig whisk, tiny little pig whisk I got at the Dollar Tree. Dollar Tree is perfect for soaping essentials. But I just use that to kind of mix that Kaolin Clay into my castor and sodium lactate. I sometimes do add bentonite clay. I would add 1 teaspoon per pound of oil, or yeah, 1 teaspoon per pound of oil. And I would add it in this same way. Alright, So I'm just going to whisk this off in there. I have a little docking station over there. Okay, so my coconut oil is melted, so I'm gonna turn off the heat and add in my shea butter slowly so you don't burn yourself, and let that melt. I want to tell you what is in how I did my lye mixture. But in here, you want to add your liquid first. Always liquid first. You never put water into lye. You always put lye into water. So first off, you would put in your water. I use distilled water, bought at Walmart. I think it's like 96 cents. Okay, so for this recipe, you will want 5.28 ounces of water, or 149.685 grams. So for me personally, my scale doesn't go to the like 2.80, so I would just do 5.2, which is a little more of a water discount, but I don't have a problem with that. And for my lye, or for your lye in this recipe, you would need 2.128 ounces, or 60.325 grams. I would go with 60 grams. I do my lye in grams, so I'll go with 60 grams. Or you could just do 2.1 ounces of lye. So by lowering it down a little bit, you're adjusting your superfat a little bit, because that's what a superfat is. It lowers the concentration of lye. So that's what you would do. You would need, first you would put in in this container, or in a container like this, you would put in the 5.28 ounces of water, and then I add in one teaspoon, this is a half a teaspoon, but whatever, 2 of them works. 1 teaspoon of sea salt. Let me see if I can show you what it looks like. Just so you know, it looks like table salt actually. See? Can you see that? It looks like table salt, but it's actually sea salt. You don't want to use the coarse stuff, because it's not gonna melt right in your lye mixture. And you make sure you stir that in until you can't see it anymore. Okay, and then to add it to that, to your water, also you want to add 1 tablespoon of powdered sugar. Plain powdered sugar. It's just sugar that's been powdered. You can also use regular sugar like you would put in your tea, but I use powdered sugar. And then once you have that all mixed in and you can't see it anymore, then you can take your lye to a safe location, measure out your lye, and add it in small increments and stir it in. I'm not going to show you that. There are plenty of videos online that do, and I'll try to find one and link it below. Once you have your lye mixture all mixed up, stirred, you want to stir it occasionally to make sure. You want to let it cool down. You want to make sure that it's cooled down to a workable temperature. My temperature, my holy grail temperature, is 96 degrees. If the oil is below, oils and lye are below 96, they're good. Anything above 96 is too hot. I do not soak at a higher temperature than 96. I've tried, it never works. It's 96 or below. You don't want to get too cold. If your oils are starting to solidify, it's too cold. All right, so now that we have our lye is cooling down, it's going to take a while. Stir it occasionally. You want it to be 96 or below for this recipe, and you want it to be clear. You have to have your lye clear. Once your lye is below 96 or below and clear, you're ready to mix it if your oils are also 96 or below. But while we're waiting on that, I'm going to start preparing the rest of my ingredients, so I can get my oils cooled. This is my coconut oil and shea butter all melted. I'm going to set this over here for just a second because I need to get oils for my colorants. This is going to be 2 separate videos, just so you know. All I do is, this is the olive oil that you all seen me pour out just a little while ago, and that's what I use to make my colorants. So now I just take a tablespoon, measuring spoon, and since I'm only doing a small amount of each colorant, I just add 1 tablespoon of colorant to each of these little containers. Toss that over there in the dirty bucket, and then I'm going to set the colorants aside while I get everything else mixed in. I'm now going to add my shea butter and coconut oil to my olive oil. Add the warm oils to your olive oil or your soft oils. Give them a little stir, and then add in your sodium lactate, your castor oil, and your kaolin clay. So now I gotta get out my stick blender motor, and I'm not, like I said, this is going to carry into 2 videos. I'm just getting you started. We're nearly at the end of preparation. So now got my stick blender and it's all done up, and I'm just going to give this a whiz because I want to blend in that kaolin clay. Also, when you do this, you need to burp it. You see the bubbles that come out? You burp it so that you don't whip in a whole bunch of air. And doing this will also help cool down your oils to prepare you for the next stage. Alright, so now we have our oils. We have our lye mixture waiting. And so I'm going to go ahead and cut this video. I'm going to then start a new video of how I mix my colorants, just so that you know how to do that. And then after everything is cooled and ready to go, I will actually make some soaps with you all. They're going to be like Halloween-ish soaps made with pumpkins. Yay, little pumpkins. And then, because I don't want everything to be too long. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. Happy soaping. Bye-bye.